Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Key Time Sports. It's Key Time coming back to talk about my Florida Gators winning their third basketball championship in school history. Now, this is not going to be a long show because I am still winded over last night's celebration. But one thing I am going to say is I'm going to go down a list and tell you all who was the critical factors for the Florida Gators getting this historic and monumental and momentum driving win for the entire college. So hopefully this has a ripple effect from the basketball team to our football team. So as of right now, I'm going to go down a list and give you all the starters. And let me tell you, I'm going to say this for the end of this show. Walter Clayton Jr., the man of the hour. He didn't have a good game, but I'm going to get into that later on in the show. So now, Alex Condon, 12 points. Ruben Chilu, 3 points. Will Richard, 18 points. Walter Clayton Jr., 11 points. Elijah Martin, 7 points. That's the starters for the Florida Gators. The bench production, Thomas High, 5 points. Micah Holdington, 2 points. Denzel Abrin, 7 points. Houston Cougars starters, Joseph Tugler, 5 points. Juwan Roberts, 8 points. Milos Uzan, 6 points. Emmanuel Sharp, 8 points. L.J. Cryer, 19 points. Bench production, Javier Francis, 8 points. Terrence Akonix, 0 points. Malik Wilson, 9 points. So now, let me tell you all, this was a good game from the start. Oh my goodness, I just feel so great. This is the first time since the Florida basketball team since 2007 that they won the championship. Oh my goodness. It's feeling like 2007 again. It is great to be a Florida Gator. It is. Florida is back. Okay, after last night's championship win, Florida is back. And just let me tell you, Florida, we are not a basketball school, we a football school. So anytime we win a championship outside of our football team, it's just icing on the cake. So now, one thing I can say is starting off this game, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. Starting off this game, is they Florida started off a little slow. The first 5 minutes of the game was tied, and then in late and well, not late, but early in the second half, the Florida Gators were down 12 with 16 minutes left in the second half. And at that point, I'm saying to myself that is it over for us? Because I was on pins and needles last night watching the game like this, pins and needles, and saying to myself, I'm like, okay, we down by 12. I'm like, we need to go on a run. And within the next 2 minutes, a 12-point deficit became a 1 point deficit. And then all of a sudden, the momentum had shifted from Houston to the almighty Florida Gators. And that is why the Florida Gators are champions. So now I'm going to get into the shooting shooting droughts for Walter Clayton Jr. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back. Walter Clayton Jr. He played 35 minutes last night. He was 3 of 10 and had 11 points. But all throughout the first half, he didn't have any points, and a little bit in the second half, he didn't have any points. And that is where Houston. That's where Houston built that 12-point lead. Now, I kept on saying to myself, I'm like, all right, Walter Clayton Jr., he's got to catch fire. He's got to catch fire eventually. And when Florida when Florida shrunk, reduced the lead from 12 to 2, and Walter Clayton Jr. hadn't scored a point yet, I'm saying to myself, okay, Florida is going to win this game, because what Houston was doing throughout the first, I'm going to say 20, 25, 30 minutes of the game, was they were neutralizing Walter Clayton Jr. and they were forcing other players like Alex Condon, Ruben Chaloux, uh, Will Richard, and Elijah Martin. This is from the starters. They were forcing them to win the game for Florida. But one thing that really hurt the Houston Cougars down the stretch was turnovers. Now, turnovers down the stretch hurt, but well, in the first half, the Florida Gators they had 10 turnovers. Well, excuse me, they had total turnovers for the Florida Gators were 13. Total turnovers for the Houston Cougars were 9. But one thing, in the first half, the Florida Gators they turned the ball over 11 times in the first half. In the first half, they turned the ball over 11 times. In the second half, they only turned the ball over twice. Now, in the last few minutes of the game, Houston, they turned the ball over 4 times in their last 4 possessions. And then the last play of the game, I know everybody is talking about that. The last play of the game, I was on pins and needles the entirety of the game, but I was on pins and needles for the last play of the game. I mean, 10 times more, because one thing I was seeing the play, I was seeing how they drew the play up, and I was saying somebody is gonna have to double somebody, but hopefully the guy doesn't pass the ball. And when the guy came and got the pass, he jumped up in the air, but he didn't go up with the ball. And if anybody knows the rule in college basketball, when you go up and try and do a shot attempt, you cannot come back down and then try and gather yourself and shoot again, because they'll call that a double dribble or a travel. Or what they'll do is they'll call a technical they'll call a technical foul. So when I seen that, and when I didn't see the guy get the shot off in time, didn't get the shot off at all, I said, okay, Florida got this thing. Then Alex Condon, he had got the loose rebound, and then that was it. But one thing I can say is, for Florida, it's great to be a Gator fan this morning. It is great to be a Florida Gator. Now, for my final takes for both of these teams, for Florida, they do have a chance to repeat. They do. They won last night. Most most sports books and sports odds have them as the on betting favorite to win the championship going into next year. So let's see what these guys can do. Most of these guys, they are coming back. So let's see if Florida can repeat again. And as far as Houston in this case, the great Jim Nance, he came from the University of Houston, well, graduated from the University of Houston. My heart goes out to him, because he has been waiting for a championship from the Houston Cougars for a while. But one thing I can say is both teams had a good game plan. But like I said, in a championship game, there can only be one winner of last night's championship game, and one winner for the men's national basketball championship, and that is the Florida Gators. Now, as far as the statistics concerned, statistics, Both teams were about the same when it comes to statistics. I mean, when you look at their 3-point shooting last night, both of them were the same. 6 of 24 for the Florida Gators, 6 of 25 for the Houston Cougars. Free throw percentage 17 of 21, Florida Gators 81%. 9 of 14, 64.3% for the Houston Cougars. Rebounds, total rebounds, +1 for Florida. Offensive rebounds, +7 for the Houston Cougars. And defensive rebounds, +8 for the Florida Gators. That is where the Florida Gators won this game at, was defensive rebounding in the second half. That was big. And the assist, +9 in the assist total for the Florida Gators. Also, steals, +2 for the Florida Gators. Blocks, +1 for the Houston Cougars. Turnovers, +4 for the Florida Gators. But most of those turnovers transpired in the first half. So it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt Florida when it mattered most. One thing about those 9 turnovers for Houston, those last 4 possessions, those turnovers hurt them when it mattered most. Points off of turnovers. Florida had 10 points off of turnovers. Houston had 9 points off of turnovers. Fast break, +2 for the Houston Cougars. 4-2. Points in the paint, +4 for the Florida Gators. Fouls. Houston had 19 fouls. Florida had 11 fouls. Technical fouls, Florida had 2. One thing about the refs last night, I believe that they slowed the game down for all intensive purposes, but it didn't matter in the end because this was a great game no matter what. Flagrant fouls, nobody got thrown out the game. Largest lead was 2, and they ended up winning, and the Florida Gators ended up winning by 2. Houston, largest lead was a 12-point lead. Now, Florida Gators, they led this game for a total of a minute and 4 seconds. So 64 seconds they led this game, and I'm gonna tell you, the Florida Gators, the final score, that their first lead was the final score in this game. That doesn't happen often. A team that did not lead the entire game ends up winning the game when they have their first lead. So Florida Gators' first lead was the final score, and they are the 2025 NCAA Men's College National Basketball Champions. Now, one thing I can say is the Florida Gators are back. Read all about it. Yeah, read all about it. Look, get this. Everybody get this. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I put it in the camera. Let me get back a little bit. Yep. Read all about it. The Florida Gators are back. Now, we just got to see what our football team is going to do. But it's good to be back on the mountaintop. You see this? When you get on the mountaintop, you don't know what. You don't know. You see everybody else is just looking up at us. Yeah, everybody. Everybody, y'all can go ahead and look up at us now. But we are the kings of college basketball. Let me tell you, during this run, we stopped the UConn Huskies from making a three-peat. So that's icing on the cake. So we are the three-peat stoppers. The Florida Gators are the three-peat stoppers. We stopped the UConn Huskies from winning a third straight championship, and we prevented the Houston Cougars from getting their first championship in college basketball history. So it's a lot of things that we did, and this team is coming back next season. Hopefully, we can repeat as champions. And with that, that is my reaction to last night's national championship win for my Florida Gators, our third basketball championship in school history: 2006, 2007, and 2025. Three-time basketball champion Florida Gators. Now, good luck to everybody going into next season, because we all know that y'all are going to try and come for our crown. But we going to have something to say to that. And with that, that is my reaction to last night's men's national basketball championship. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. We are also doing an expansion over here on YouTube and on Instagram. Key City Sports on Instagram. We are doing an expansion on there, and it is going to be great now that the NCAA Men's Final Four is over with. Now we can shift on over to the NBA playoffs and the NFL draft. So please go follow Key City Sports on Instagram. Go follow Key Time Sports right here on YouTube so you do not miss any action of content when it comes to these events, sporting events that are coming up in the next few weeks. And one last thing I want to say, everybody, remember the key is always on time.